it might have been, but what I can say is we are in a very weird time. This is a very weird time right now for a lot of people, including Mercedes fans, because there are some really diehard Mercedes fans out there. And I think a lot of you all are probably going to leave when it comes to Lewis Hamilton leaving. So big shout out to everybody in the chat. We got Mary Beanie in here first. We got Uno in here, Extracts in here. So big shout out to everybody checking in. Y'all like, listen, I'm going to keep it a buck with y'all. I'm going to keep it a buck with you. I straight up got the time wrong for the qualifying. I thought it was 1300. It was 1 a.m. You know, so I was watching qualifying this morning, and I got to say, although an interesting qualifying, I was quite disappointed in a couple of areas, okay? And I'm going to say this. Lewis Hamilton, we've seen this time and time and time and time again, right? We've seen it time and time again. And I think a lot of us have pretty much said that, hey, this situation with Lewis Hamilton is so consistent that it's in a lot of situations we've been able to say it's not Lewis Hamilton, that it's the team, and it has been the team. They've gotten things wrong. They built a crappy car. They didn't do the strategy right. But today, it was Lewis. I got to say, today it was Lewis. I mean, it wasn't like they didn't have top of the charts. He didn't have top of the charts in Q1, Q2. He held it in Q2, going into Q3. And then I really think Lewis would have had pole position, or it would have been a Mercedes front row lockout. But Lewis made two errors of his own doing. And maybe you want to say characteristics of the track on one, but everybody has to deal with that. And he just hit a moment, and it didn't work out. Then he lost the rear of the car. So I can't say this time that it was Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton messed it up toward the end of that qualifying for sure. He was, in fact, the reason why he didn't get pole position in this qualifying session right here, because Mercedes was hooked up all week. They have been hooked up all week, all free practice, all qualifying sessions, as we saw Q1, Q2, going into Q3, even via Russell. Mercedes has been hooked up. And I do think that's something interesting. I do also think that's something that needs to be looked into. That's what I think. I think that Mercedes needs to figure out, why is it these conditions seem to cause or seem to happen to allow their car to come alive? Why is this? And also, you know, we also saw Max Verstappen. He ain't doing so hot. Everybody last week thought, or 2 weeks ago, was like, oh, Max is back. Max is back. No, Max is not back. Max wasn't even back then. Max just benefited from a situation that was unfortunate for others and fortunate for him, just like Alpine did, and he got a race win. Where's all of this Max Verstappen? We doing all this now, okay? So that is what it is as well. Max is not back. Max is front loaded. He's likely going to win the championship, and that is what it is. But I didn't even believe in Alpine. I got to talk about being surprised about Alpine. I really do. Because Alpine really did surprise me. Alpine surprised me by Gasly today, because I honestly still feel Alpine is Alpine. I don't think Alpine is anything special this season. I think and you know, when I hear commentators talk about they turned their season around, what the hell are you talking about? They didn't turn anything around. They benefited from an unfortunate situation for others, which was very fortunate for them. That is the same thing. I'm not going to change my catalyst on that just because the team or the driver changes. Alpine benefited from a situation that was unfortunate for others and very fortunate for them. And in this qualifying, I got to say, Gasly did surprise me. But then I said, not really, because I've seen some hints of Gasly in situations like this come alive and be very surprising. And so although I was taken by it, I wasn't ultimately surprised by it, because I still think that I need to see what's Gasly's race pace going to be. What is he going to do when it comes to race pace? All right. And all of these things do matter. And I'm very still interested to see what happens with Alpine as the race gets ready to tick on. I'm ready to see that. Paul in the super chat putting his name in for the hat because you all know the big giveaway is happening. Paul putting his name in the hat again for the big Lewis Hamilton giveaway, collector's card, diecast, keychain, drawstring bag. Paul says, what's up, family? Happy Saturday. Smash the like button. Peace and love to you, brother. Peace and love to the real kart racers and the Wolfpack fam going out there, getting it in and tussling together. But, yeah, I really want to say that. Now, let's get back to Lewis Hamilton. Because what's going to happen is a lot of haters, a lot of people are going to say, you notice, I didn't even say Max choked. Max didn't choke. I could say he choked. He didn't do what he was supposed to do, but I could say, but Lewis didn't choke. And I've already seen this on Twitter. I've seen it on Instagram. I've seen a bunch of people talking about Lewis Hamilton choke. He didn't choke. He made an error. And an error that some drivers make when they push and they're trying to push harder than they were before, and you run a little wide. But I'm not mad if somebody says Lewis Hamilton choked, but I don't think you could call that a choke. I don't think Lewis Hamilton choked. I think he made a mistake. Several drivers make mistakes. I mean, we've seen Max spin out 360. Is that choking? We've seen Max wreck people out. Is that choking? What is that? So, playground, half an hour, Paul, swing sets at dawn. Swing sets at dawn. Yeah, don't be like me, Paul. Don't get the time wrong. Make sure you show up. Because Sylvia Witt Kelly's not playing. She's putting her name in that hat, too. So, as far as Lewis Hamilton, I don't take anything big from it. I honestly believe that it's possible that he really wanted to, because you got to think, the U.S. is essentially Lewis Hamilton's second home, for real. He's very favored. He's very highly liked. Worldwide, he's the most known driver. We already seen that marketability-wise. But I think that it's possible that it was so close between these two Mercedes cars, between these two drivers. And there are times where the setup is in a window where Lewis will dial it in. And I think he pushed a bit too hard to try to get just a little bit more. And I also think he tried to take a line that he wasn't accustomed to taking prior to in the other events, which led him to hold in Q2 the provisional pole position, which led him to lead the way in free practice sessions. And at that moment in time, I think he was searching for something just to give him the edge. And when you get too close to the edge, you likely can fall off. And I think he fell off. That's what I think happened. I think he just fell off. But the thing is, it is what it is. And I also think people need to take into consideration, Lewis Hamilton is human. Although an exemplary human being, a very elite human being, he's human. And what's funny is you'll have people that feel as if situations for Lewis don't exist because of everything that he's accomplished. They do exist, just not as often as they do for everybody else for Lewis because of his greatness and what he's been able to do. Lewis Hamilton has already won races this season, right? He's won races. Russell, as much kudos as they want to give him, hasn't won as many races as Lewis Hamilton this season. The car is still but. Mercedes is still a team that is trying to figure out what they need to do. Lewis Hamilton's on his way out. Russell's going to be the lead of the team. So things just happen the way they happen. Now, let's talk about Aston Martin. How many times are we supposed to see that Lance Stroll does not belong in a Formula One car? How many times are we supposed to see this? I'm just trying to figure out, how many times are we supposed to see that Lance Stroll literally does not belong in a Formula One seat? Because he's proven it to us several times. He should not have a seat in Formula One right now. He shouldn't. Now, I will say this situation in particular is probably a situation where you can't say, well, it was all Lance Stroll's fault. But still, there's enough that you haven't done and enough rubbish that you have done to where I'm not mad about putting that on your resume as well. I'm just not. I don't feel wrong about putting that on your resume. You have not been a good driver. You have not been a team player who adds to the team's campaign. It's just not. Uno in the super chat says, greeting twin and everyone. The Vegas track seems to be way too dusty as certain drivers were having issues along with the temp. So let's see how he does. Listen, this is what I also think. Uno, I'm glad you said that because I want to hit on that right now. I want to say this. I absolutely like the Vegas track. Now, I'm going to be real. I'm on note for saying this, and I'm on record for saying this. I wasn't a fan of the pig track because the Vegas track is a pig. That's why I orientated it differently, because it literally looks like a pig, a boar or a pig, anything. It looks like swine. And I said, I'm not too sure that this is not a Formula One track with a few kinks in it. That is what I said. But I was wrong. I was wrong, and I'm willing to admit I was wrong because I said it last season. The Vegas circuit was surprisingly good, and I do enjoy it. And I'm just keeping it a buck with you. The Vegas circuit is surprisingly good, not only in its ability to deliver fast-paced racing, a few turns here that are technical, but the conditions of the environment offer up an entirely different challenge that they probably didn't expect coming to the U.S., being in Vegas, thinking it was going to be at the bright of day, and it wasn't. It's in the moment, that time in Vegas, that wee of the hours just past 0-100 is very tricky. Condensation builds up. Temperatures consistently drop. It is a challenging situation, and I absolutely love it. I love it. I'm with you, Sylvia Wick. I love the track. I don't like to say I love anything that can't love me back. I like the track a lot. 2 thumbs up. But at first, I didn't think it was going to be all that. I didn't. So back to Lance Stroll. I think Lance should do anything else besides really drive something. He doesn't drive a Formula One car good. He doesn't ride a bike good, which is why he ended up coming into the season very questionable that one time with wrist surgery. I just think he should stay away from anything with wheels and get a driver, because evidently if your dad can pay for you to be in a Formula One team, your dad can pay for you to have a driver wherever you want to go. And I think maybe you should play pickleball. Maybe you should play, I don't know, racquetball. Maybe you should play golf, to play tennis. Don't play basketball. Maybe play soccer. Maybe disc golf. Maybe do something like that. Anything else besides driving a car. That's what I think you should do. That is what, and I got to say this, this picture right here, I got to bring this on the big screen because we are talking about this next. Checo, this was, wait, we got Mechanic Mercedes in the super chat said, I like the Vegas track too, has a nice straight line. I'm with you, Mechanic. But this image of Checo and the timing was impeccable is just insult to already injury. Checo is out of there. He is out of there. And I don't know at this point in time what is going to be done about it that is going to be all that great. But as you can see, Checo is done. He goes out in Q1. Checo goes out in Q1, y'all. Q1 exit. I mean, what do you say about Checo at this point in time? You can only, the only valid thing that you could say and have something to stand on, Mechanic Mercedes says, for the GOAT, another tire blanket gate. Hey, there you go. Hey, there you go. He was talking about the tire blankets too. And I'm kind of on the fence about the tire blankets. I kind of like, dropping the temp and maybe tire blankets kind of coming out, because I think it brings more masterful ability and talent of a driver to bring tires in appropriately and then gain a benefit from managing those tires throughout a race. I do. And I'm not really mad. We need to go back and see it with this evolution and this era of cars and see how it plays out, because it could very well be a damn catastrophe. Honestly, it could be a damn catastrophe. We'll see. But yeah, Checo with this image right here as he goes out in Q1 was absolutely, it was damning. It is damning. And although I don't think Checo deserves to be out of Formula One, I don't know what he's going to need, and I'm done trying to give Checo any type of grace because he chose the bed that he's lying in, and right now it's not the greatest bed. But yeah, Checo is looking bad out here, y'all. He looking bad out here. And also, as these final seconds I saw tick down, and I see these seconds tick down, I'm like, it's Stroll's out of there. Alonso's just barely out. Albon goes out. Colapinto is on his final stint here, trying to collect as much as he can in Q3, in Sector 3. And I got to say, Russell and Hamilton swapping back and forth, I had some promise about that, but I got to give some credit to good old Argentine driver Colapinto bringing it in for Williams until he wasn't. Until he wasn't. I mean, how many times Paul says maybe Stroll should take up walking safe. Oh, man. Maybe Stroll should take up walking safely. Yo, bro should do something, bro. He should do something. And I just got to say, Colapinto he's so high and then low. Williams I don't know if Williams is running a risk right now of being in cost cap trouble. Colapinto, bro, you wrecked up another Williams car? I mean, Albon goes out, which is something else we could talk about. Albon goes out. Colapinto is the lone survivor. And what does he do? What does he do? He goes ahead and does something astonishing, is bring it up into the top 10 on his last push, where other drivers that surely have more resumes than him fall short. And then he brings it back to us and wrecks the car. Literally tears the car up. And I'm like, yo, bro, what are you doing? Why are you doing these things? It was absolutely horrible. And I mean, it's not even like a little fender bender. He tore it up. I don't know how much more of Williams' cost cap can sustain this type of situation. I don't even know what it's looking like for Williams to have two drivers in the race coming up in about 13 hours' time. We're going to be live, okay? We are going to be live for the race here like we typically are. And this time, make sure I got the right time. We are going to be live for Finale Lap to talk about, because I'm telling you, I do believe that there is going to be a very exciting Las Vegas GP. I just do. If they can get Colapinto back out there, they got lost. I wish Ollie Berman was racing. I wish he was racing instead of K-Mag. I just do. I really honestly do. I want to see that. But I am just like, what in the bejesus, Colapinto? Yo, James Vowles, you got to get this together. You do got to get it together, bro. You got to sit Colapinto down and help him understand. And I will give him a little bit of grace, because we have seen some drivers well more established than Colapinto wreck it in an actual GP event. Lando Norris, they talked about that all weekend. They've been talking about Lando all weekend and how he went off and tore shit up. Don't forget about Russell, how he tore it up. Like, Las Vegas is a very tricky, challenging track. So I'm going to give it to him, because I also know he was trying to push hard. And here it goes again. I don't hear anything about people talking about Colapinto choking. I don't hear anything about Colapinto choking. And that right there, he tore it all the way up. He basically turned the damn Williams car into a damn DeLorean. You know how the DeLorean came up from Back to the Future and the wheels turn horizontal so it can blast off? That's essentially what this Williams car looks like. It looks like a DeLorean about to go back into flight mode. It doesn't look good. But his first time here, I believe it's his first time here. He hasn't had a lot of time on the track compared to everybody else. He was pushing to try to improve his time, which I don't blame him for it. But I also got to say this, bro. Like, you right now, there's no reason for you to do what you're doing. You don't need to do this. You don't need to crash out, because here it is again, Max Verstappen, he doesn't even stay at the top of the charts long. Max doesn't stay at the top of the charts long. It doesn't last long at all. Not at all. Okay? It is a very little short time before Max Verstappen's time at the top of the charts was overtaken by Russell and a Mercedes having a 1 and 2. So I don't know what to do. And then let's talk about this. What is going on with Alonso? What's up with Alonso? Because Alonso is the driver to me that was supposed to be holding it down buttoning the hatches for Aston Martin. There it goes. Russell pops to the top. Russell was in his bag this weekend. He was in his bag. I don't even care if it's all about the car being better for him or whatever the case is. He's in his bag. But I don't want people to overinflate this situation with Russell. But what I will give Russell credit for is calling his shots at this point in time when it is clearly established that there is a fracture in the team unity of protocols and strategy and what they're going to do. And by the way, all this entire time I was watching qualifying, I asked myself, where in the hell was Ferrari? But let me get back to Alonso. Alonso is not holding it down either. Nasty Stu says, do you think Tsunoda should get the Red Bull seat? Nasty Stu, putting your name in again, multiple times. The brother is trying to get this Lewis Hamilton giveaway. Big shout out to you. Let me answer that. Yes. I think Tsunoda should get an opportunity to completely audition for the Red Bull seat. I do. And I also think, like I said, and I'm not gonna back off this, Nasty Stu. I'm gonna keep it as I've been saying. I said that if Liam Lawson happens to outperform Yuki by the end of the season, while he started with less of the season, that I cannot make a strong case at that point in time for Yuki to have that Red Bull seat. All right. I can't comfortably and with character and integrity say yes, because if you have a driver that comes in with less time than you to improve and he improves more than you, I kind of got to say, like, bro, that don't look good for you. But right now, Yuki has a total of 28 points in the Drivers' Championship. And I'm going to keep it a buck. Liam Lawson only has 4. And I don't want people to hear me say only 4 like that's nothing, because there are a few drivers behind him that don't have anything. Joe, Logan Sargent's not here no more, so he doesn't count. And Valtteri, all of Kick Sauber. But Colapinto is better than him right now. Ali Berman, who hasn't raced and isn't racing in this event, has 7 points. Keep that in mind. And he was racing with Haas. Danny Ricks, who's not here, has 12. Okay. Albon has 12. K-Mag has 14. Ocon has 23. Lance Stroll has 24. Pierre Gasly, both of those drivers have been on a podium. Yuki hasn't even been on a podium, and he's got 28 points. Yuki is better right now than several other drivers that are out here, including the drivers who they presumptuously said would have the Red Bull seat before Yuki, while doing less than Yuki's done for the team. So yes, I do believe Yuki should have that seat. And right now, it doesn't look like Liam Lawson is going to outperform Yuki by the end of the season. That's just not enough. Unless he wins a race, unless Liam Lawson wins a race or gets on podium and then places top 10 while Yuki does nothing, then he's not going to outperform Yuki. So yes, I think Yuki should get a firm opportunity, a legitimate chance to get into that Red Bull seat and really show them what he can do on times. I also think that coming into the new season, we should see Yuki driving for Red Bull in testing. I do. I think you have enough room and time for that. Sergio Perez is going to be Perez. I'm not even mad. I'm not even apologizing about saying that right now. Sergio Perez is going to be Sergio Perez regardless. You're going to get what you get. If the car's better and it fits better for him, then maybe you get a better version of Perez. But other than that, I don't expect much from Perez given what he's shown us in the past couple of seasons. All right, it's been a bunch of letdown. So I think that Yuki should be able to come into the season driving for the Red Bull so that we can see in testing what can he really do, how does he handle himself, and maybe even an opportunity in the first race of the season while you got a lot of time in front of you. I just think he needs that real firm opportunity. And if he does well, if Yuki can bring home points in a Red Bull within the top 10, why not? Perez is not doing any better. He's literally not doing any better. So if you're telling me you can get somebody else in there with an undisclosed, undiscovered ceiling of opportunity while he has been driving for the junior team, then I have to say, why not do that? Why not do that? Let's not forget, Perez is only 8th in the Drivers' Championship. by a marginal amount of points, but he's been on a marginal amount better car. He has. And he hasn't done much with it, in my opinion. So yeah, Nasty Stu. Yes, I do believe that. I'm with you if you feel the same way. If you don't, then you can let me know how you feel. But I am with that. Now, I gotta say this, okay? Yellow flag. This is a situation we see. Hamilton is at the top of the charts again. Russell's third. Sainz creeps in there, and this is where Colapinto just bends it, tears the damn car up, and of course they red flag, but they was coming in anyway. But as we see right here, Hamilton still has good pace driving out there. Now, I got to say this because I don't care what people say. They're going to say what they want to say anyway, but I'm going to say what the hell I got to say. There is a lot of trying to redress this and prep it and critique it and put makeup on it and put sugar on it. There's a lot of trying to build up this Max Verstappen fourth championship. There is. There just is. And I'm going to just keep it a buck with you. I heard a lot of BS again on the commentation. I did. Okay, listen. Why do they want to try to act? Why do they want to try to pretend as if Max is driving a piece of crap car? Why do you want to try to pretend as if, even though Red Bull struggling in comparison to what they have done is something as bad as what Mercedes has been going through? Why do they want to try to say Max in one of the slowest cars is doing the most? No, Max is still in one of the top two fastest cars. Max is still driving for one of the top two fastest teams consistently. Max is still driving a very dominant car until McLaren came on board. You're not even saying just in car to car that Ferrari is outperforming the Red Bull, even in a sense. So why do they consistently want to do? These are the things I talk about. It just sounds ultimately ridiculous on the air. I gotta see somebody like me would ask you, so are you saying, okay, so let me ask you this, because since you're saying that he's in one of the slowest cars, is it slower than the Aston? Okay, no. All right. Is it slower than the Alpine? Okay, no. Is it slower than Haas? Okay, no. Is it slower than the Alpha, the Junior Red Bull team? Okay, no. All right. So is it slower than, I don't know. Is it slower than Alpine or Aston? No. Okay. Is it slower than Mercedes? No. Okay. So not slower than Mercedes. Okay. All right. So I'm just trying to figure out. Is it slower than Williams? No, not slower than Williams. Okay. Is it slower than Kicksauber F1? No? Okay. So is it slower than the McLaren? Yes? Okay, so he's in the he's in the second fastest car in all the teams. What are we talking about? Why do we keep doing these shenanigans trying to make it something all embellished? Let's keep it a buck. Max Verstappen and Red Bull were the most dominant team last season and at the beginning and damn near going toward halfway of this season. And McLaren came alive earlier than we thought they would based on what they have done. And they became the fastest car and didn't even realize it. Didn't even realize they were the fastest car. And by not realizing what they had actually done, what they had actually developed, they called strategies like they were losers. And they were in a winning car. And Max Verstappen still benefited from that. So all of this bull about trying to, no pun intended, trying to make it seem like Max is dragging a car out of the trash can, out of the dumpster. He's picking a car up from Goodwill and he's taking it to the front of the, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop trying to make this something that is just historically unwritten. It is crazy. It is absolutely crazy, yo. He's good. He's going to win his fourth championship. He did what he needed to do at the beginning of the season when the situations were aligned for him like a good driver does. He didn't make a lot of mistakes like some drivers do. And because of that, and because of McLaren falling on their face and not realizing like, hey, you know what? Wait a minute. Are we good? Zach, are we actually good? Lando, do you feel like you're good? Oscar, I know you think you're good. I know you are good, but do you really know that you're good? They had a whole meeting about this, and finally they were like, yo, we're good. Let's actually drive and call strategy like it. It took them forever. Come on. What are we talking about? We literally sat here and watched Max Verstappen lose several races, but still stay in the top 10. The car is not a dud. They got caught cheating. And then they didn't really get penalized for it. Asymmetric braking. Let's talk about it. And so why does nobody want to talk about that? Why do you not want to bring that up? And this is what I get. Revisionist history when it comes to Max Verstappen and Red Bull. You want to talk? I remember when Mercedes had DOS, they were talking about that damn near every race. Oh, the DOS system. Oh, they witnessed this. Oh, the tire. They talked about Aston Martin's wing situation more than they talk about the situation with Red Bull. Asymmetric braking regulation came out to be banned in the season. And guess what? Red Bull suffered for it. Why don't the talking heads talk about that? Why don't they mention that? You want to bring all of this in to have this so-called miraculous Max Verstappen, we're going to rewrite these books so let's cut it out. Cut it out. It is cheesy, it is corny, and it is damn right despicable. Despicable. Come on. Nasty Sue says, will Max crash into Lando on purpose? Hell yeah, he will. He's shown us that he'll do that. He's shown us that. But I'm going to tell you something. I don't think he's going to have to. I don't think Max Verstappen is going to have to crash into Lando. I just don't. And the reason why I don't think he's going to have to do that is because what we've been seeing all weekend. We've been seeing all weekend that McLaren just, to me, have been on the back foot. They haven't really had their shit together. And I honestly think that maybe McLaren, especially Lando, have just faded. I think looking back at previous moments, they can pinpoint where they messed up. They can pinpoint where we didn't make the right decisions. They can literally say, had we done this here, we would have been here. And when you can do that, when you can look back at what your so-called mistakes are, and you can say, I definitely could have done something right there that would have completely changed the outcome, and I didn't. I definitely could have done that, and I didn't. I didn't even think about it. And I think right now they're kicking themselves in the ass. I think Lando is for sure, because I think Lando looks and says, you know what, had y'all gave me those team orders, I'd have the points I need to still be in this fight. Had you called team strategy back when we were in round 5 or 6, I wouldn't be in this position. I literally probably would be leading the Drivers' Championship with Max having to try to do the most that he can with this so-called dumpster fire car that is the second fastest for sure out here. But at this circuit, not at all. Lando Norris and Pia are behind Verstappen in this situation, they're close, they're right there, and they just haven't been able to really break through. This is not the McLaren that we've grown to know through these rounds of racing, okay? We had grown to see the papaya team at the top, and all while Pia has been having some growing pains. I don't know what the hell Lando is actually going to do. And Ferrari finally showing up right here was absolutely awesome. Charles Leclerc getting in there. This final closing of the rounds right here was absolutely awesome. And it still holds true to me that qualifying has been one of the better events all season. It just has been. This change out of Gasly, of Sainz, of Leclerc, of Lando, all of this, Yuki climbing up. This was the exciting moment in the final. 0 time on the clock. You got a few segments left in the sector. What can you make happen? Verstappen bottom, he hits his head on the floor at 4. He's going to have Charles Leclerc sitting right there in front of him. Russell goes back to the top of the charts to bring home the pole position, and Lewis Hamilton makes 2 errors that keep him out of the top 5. So I'm going to tell you right now, and I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to work on my predictions. I'm going to go off. We'll come back live later. And I'm going to make my predictions on where I think these drivers will place. That's what I'm going to do. All right, I'm going to do that. And from there, I'm going to tell you what I think. So I'm going to grab the provisional poll sheet, the classification sheet, and we're going to go up the list, and I'm going to tell you where I think these drivers are going to be. And when the race is over, come the live, we will look and see how far off I was and maybe. And nothing's right. Matter of fact, why don't you all do it too? You all grab a sheet, try to see where you think these drivers are going to be, and we're going to have us a, we're going to see what we're going to have us a forecasting. We're going to try to see if we can anticipate what's going to happen, our predictions of the race finishes and where they will be. So I'm going to come off screen. I'm going to do that. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to get me some breakfast. I'm going to get me some blueberry bagels, and I'm going to take those blueberry bagels, and I'm going to turn them into some French toast blueberry bagels, and then I'm going to take some blueberries and simmer them up, make some cocoa. I'm going to pour that on top, and I'm going to sit down. I'm going to have me a little bit of scrambled eggs with cheese and a little bit of seasoning salt, and I'm going to grab me one of those body armors, and I'm going to eat my breakfast, and I'm going to think, where do I think these drivers will finish in this race? That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. And we'll see what happens, all right? We'll see what takes place. But qualifying was good. Russell got pole position. Ferrari's in the top 5. Gasly mixed himself in the top 3. That's crazy. Max Verstappen falls to 5th. Lando is right behind Max. Now we get to see, what is Lando about? Has Lando turned into a pumpkin like the color of his car now? Has Lando lost all hope, tenacity, and fortitude, and trying to at least make sure that he can get in front of Max Verstappen to just hold on to whatever dignity he can before the end of the season? Will Max Verstappen wreck out and not even finish this race, and maybe Lando goes to the top of the chart to finish first, giving him 25 points while Max Verstappen gets no points? And then all of a sudden, we're looking at the last 2 races like, is this still a possibility for real? Because right now, it doesn't seem like there's much of a possibility. Can Ferrari win another race and legitimately make a statement saying that we have arrived and we aren't going anywhere and we're only going to go forward from here before the end of the season and into the next season? Where's Yuki going to? There's a lot of things coming 2025. 2025, I think, is just going to be more of an improved Formula One season. I think we're getting into the stride, and then we're going to hit a snag in 2026 when we hit the new regulations. Sylvia Witt Kelly says, do you think there's any link between Max getting a lot of penalties, rightfully so, and now people being fired from the FIA? Make sure Max gets his title, knowing Ben and Horner are great friends. Yo, Sylvia Witt Kelly, that's a banger. That's a banger, isn't it? All of a sudden now these people getting fired? Like Max Verstappen's getting penalized, rightfully so, and we got people losing their jobs? That does look suspicious, doesn't it? It does. It doesn't look good. It looks suspicious, and I think it furthermore brings into question the integrity of the sport, because that, something, like I say, some things that seem so coincidental aren't actually coincidental. They are actually a product of an unknown variable that you either don't know, don't see, or unaware. You just don't know about it. And I think that's a very good super chat, Sylvia Witt Kelly. I think that's something that's possible. I don't know why anybody would try to count that out with all the things that we've seen happening between Red Bull and the cheating and not releasing and not penalizing them and finding this out. And anytime FIA initiate a mandate, like it's right now that you got to adhere to this, that's a reason. That's a reason. Somebody did something, and we know you're doing it, but we don't want to put you out on Front Street because you're Red Bull. Just like they did with Ferrari. We're not going to disclose our findings, but we're going to find them, and then we're not going to tell y'all why we find them. So don't act like it doesn't happen. So, yeah, I completely think that there's something to that. I do. And we're going to see what happens, especially in this GP, right? If we see questionable driving again from Max Verstappen, and his questionable driving goes without penalty, and we see something for sure that we know is not correct, then I guess maybe we have our answer. Maybe right. Maybe we have our answer there. And we'll see how that goes. Adrian Newey out here might be just dropping dimes like nobody's business. Adrian Newey's like, you know what? Y'all did a lot of F stuff. I'm tired of y'all, and I'm about to just drop dimes on y'all and get y'all out of there. I'm about to bring a new team up to the top. New team coming. Aston Martin coming. And it's a damn shame that I only got one driver to really drive this car the way that it need to be driven. But it is what it is. So we will see what happens. Don't forget, giveaway is in play. Make sure you get your name in that hat by doing as many super chats you can before 2024, because that's when we're going to do the key. So you got a lot of time to get your name in there. A lot of time to get a lot of names in there. That wheel's going to be awesome. With that being said, I'm going to go off. I'm going to print my sheet out. We're going to come back here live again. do the predictions, say where I think these drivers are going to be. I'll probably bring it up on screen, try to do something like that. And, you know, just keep it real simple, not to try to do nothing too drastic, and we'll see what happens. All right, so big shout out to you all. See y'all soon. See y'all early in the wee hours of the morning. The race is at 1 a.m., 0100. Okay, my time, 100 hours. That means we'll go live not too long after that. So be here for that. I think this is going to be a good race. I think it's going to be an entertaining race. I think it's going to be a challenging race. I think some things are going to happen that we might not know happen. So it might throw your predictions all the way off. But it is what it is. We'll pack out. Peace.